This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm your host, Roby Brock. We appreciate you joining us. It's day 3 of the 95th General Assembly. Not a lot of activity today. It's not as busy as it was on Monday and Tuesday, at least, as the legislature starts to get going. Today, we will talk with Representative Robin Lundstrum, Republican of Elm Springs. She is on 2 very influential committees, the House Insurance and Commerce Committee and the House Revenue and Tax Committee. We'll find out what she expects to happen there and what's on her own legislative agenda. Plus, we'll look at a couple of constitutional amendment proposals that have already been filed. Stick around for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily.
Talk Business and Politics Daily is sponsored in part by Impact Management Group and
Power. It's right there, waiting, ready to go when you are. Connect this, click that, unconnect and go every day. Delivered by your electric cooperative. Each unique, always united, and completely local. Born from a mission to provide dependable, sustainable, and affordable power to every corner of Arkansas. And delivering on that promise for a brighter Arkansas every day. It's the local hometown cooperative way. Better connected. Together. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas.
Joining us now is Representative Robin Lundstrum, Republican of Elm Springs. She was first elected to the Arkansas House in 2014. Her first term was 2015, so now she is a senior member of the 95th General Assembly, which just means she has experience. It has nothing to do with age. Representative Lundstrum, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I mentioned too, just at the beginning here, that you serve on the House Insurance and Commerce Committee. You also serve on the Revenue and Tax Committee, 2 very influential committees, and you're the chair of the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. That's exciting.
Let's begin with the governor's State of the State speech on Tuesday. I want to get some of your reaction to that. What was your just overall, did you like everything that you heard, or were there some things missing, or did you hear something you didn't agree with?
Well, first of all, I thought it was a great 30,000-foot view of where she wanted to go, her vision for Arkansas, and I can find very little to disagree with. The devil's in the details in the budget. What can we afford to do? And I know she also wants to have a tight budget, which I appreciate. That's probably my thing that I'm most appreciative of, is you can't be all things to all people, and we can't pay for everything. So the budget still rules.
All right. Let's talk about a couple of things that she brought up that I want to get your take on. Number one, this bill that she wants to introduce to take her pilot program on banning cell phones in public schools a little further. I think a school district up in your neck of the woods has kind of been the leader on some of this.
Yes.
Pilot here. Tell me what you think the legislative response will be to that. And I don't see much pushback on it at all.
I don't either. Springdale Schools has been very forward thinking, and they're seeing results, and other schools are doing this in the state of Arkansas as well, maybe not to the extent of others. I'm excited. I think kids have become addicted to the internet, and this gives us a chance to put school first. You're in school for an education, not to be on your cell phone.
You also mentioned repealing in full the grocery tax. Really all that's left on that, because of the work you guys have done previously, is that 1/8 of a cent that's in the constitutional amendment that underwrites the Game and Fish Commission, Parks and Tourism, and Keep Arkansas Beautiful Commission. How are you going to take that final 1/8 of a cent off? What's your suggestion for how that's going to happen?
Well, we can first of all, the grocery tax needs to happen. If for no other reason, people need food. We can't have food insecurity and be taxing something that is vital to life. So I think it's great. It's not that much. It's been slowly shaved off over the years, and yet we've managed to survive without all those tax dollars. So I think we'll survive just fine, and those entities will survive. So I think we'll move forward without it.
What's the mechanism for doing it, though? Will it have to be a constitutional amendment to repeal it?
I'm not sure. I really don't know for sure. If it was tied to a constitutional amendment previously, it may.
Yeah. She also mentioned she wants to see a lot of changes to higher education. This is a space, even though insurance and commerce and revenue and tax don't necessarily dive into those waters there, but you have been an advocate for really looking at what we're spending in higher education, how we can do things.
That's going to be interesting. I do think we need to be competitive in Arkansas. we need to keep our state institution and all of our institutions competitive. And if tax dollars are involved, we need to ask some difficult questions. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure we can come together and find some ways to be more efficient.
What do you think will be the biggest thing that will change in terms of higher education funding?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it will be the type of funding, if we'll have some more expectations for that funding. I don't think that's unreasonable. If we are funding higher ed, we need to have some expectations. So, but I have no idea. That I'm not on education committee, but I'll be watching closely.
All right, let's talk about a committee you will be on, Insurance and Commerce. There's going to be a plethora of insurance and health related matters that will come through that particular committee right there. Mental health, although maternal health will probably go through public health, but healthcare funding, healthcare financing, these are big issues that Insurance and Commerce is likely to tackle. What do you think is going to be the biggest priority items for you on those committees?
I'm not sure what the biggest priority items will be just yet. I want to see the bills. We've got to look at each bill and value it based on what's it going to do, how much money is it going to take, do we want to spend that money? It's not our money. And the other thing is, it may sound great on paper, but it's still somebody having to pay for it. So if your neighbor is having to pay for something for you, we need to be real careful and remember whose money it is. So I'm going to be looking at it from that lens.
Do you think you'll be leading any of these bills in Insurance and Commerce, or do you think you're going to defer to maybe Representative Lee Johnson or the committee chair, John Maddox, or somebody in that respect?
There are a couple of Insurance and Commerce bills that I'm working on right now, but I don't think they'll be in the controversial space. It's more of in the customer-friendly space.
Okay. Tell me what else is on your agenda. Give me an idea of some other bills. I think you filed 3 of them so far, but I know you're working on some other things. What can we expect from Representative Robin Lundstrum legislatively in this session?
Well, I think we need to finish up the VOTEC. That's going to be one of the, the citizens voted to pass that constitutional amendment, which is wonderful, but that gets us in the front door to making changes. So now we've got to make the changes and enabling legislation so that VOTEC, if you want to be a truck driver, a welder, that type of thing, you can participate in lottery scholarship. So the back of the house work needs to be done, and that's a priority. I also want to look at property taxes. Is there anything we can do to shave off some of those cliffs with property taxes? There's so much in that space where taxes have gone up, but we need to pay for things. So, but we also need to make sure that we're not taking too much and that we don't have these big spikes. So I'm looking at things in that space as well.
The governor did not mention any specific income tax cut, but you guys have done 3 of those since she's been governor, 2 of them in special session. I'm predicting, and you can confirm this for me, that you guys will wait until the fiscal year closes to see if further tax cuts are warranted. Do you think there will be any action on income tax cuts in the regular session?
No, I don't think so in the regular session. I think it's important that we do make sure we've got our budget done first. We've got everything paid for, and we look at where we can cut taxes. And I think there's a certain order to it, and the governor has been very judicious in following that process.
All right, last question for you. When are we going to get to eat some AQ chicken at the AQ Chicken House?
Hopefully soon. We're working on it. Right now it's the drawing and planning stage, and that makes it really difficult. But soon, hopefully.
All right. I want to be one of the first customers there, so make sure I get an invitation to the grand opening. All right.
We'll make sure you do.
All right. She's Representative Robin Lundstrum, Republican of Elm Springs. We appreciate her being with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're back with a look at potential constitutional amendments right after this.
Talk Business and Politics Daily is sponsored in part by Capital Advisors Group and
in the Navy, I train recruits. At Walmart, I recruit veterans. So many veterans have built their careers here.
I served in the Army for 11 years. I was promoted 4 times. Been with Walmart 9 years. I've been promoted 5 times.
I started as an hourly associate, and now I run the store.
430,000 veterans hired in the last decade. That's more than serving in the U.S. Navy today. There's no better place for veterans to work.
Well, one of the interesting things that happens every 2 years when Arkansas lawmakers meet in their regular session is they get an opportunity to submit to voters up to 3 proposed constitutional amendment changes. And already we have seen 8 measures filed that could be contemplated in the 2026 general election. Here's what a few of them would do. Representative Andrew Collins has a proposal to restructure that Freedom of Information Act amendment that did not make the ballot in 2024. There's also from Representative Jack Ladyman a measure that would, if passed, would put some pressure on Congress to start the process for U.S. congressional term limits, which obviously are not in place right now. Representative Britt McKenzie from Northwest Arkansas has filed a proposed constitutional amendment measure that would restrict state and local funds being spent from governmental entities to hire lobbyists. We'll learn more about that when we do an interview with him down the road. And there are 2 measures for what's called reapportionment. This is when we redraw every 10 years after the decennial census what the legislative district boundaries and what the congressional district boundaries will be. Representative Andrew Collins and Senator Brian King have different proposals that address aspects of that reapportionment process. You can keep your eye on other measures that are being filed daily at the Arkansas State Legislature website. Just Google Arkansas State Legislature website and it'll pull it up there for you. It's kind of a lengthy URL that you got to click on there. We'll also keep you up to date as the period closes for those potential constitutional amendments to be filed, and we'll do a rundown and a briefing of all of them. That's all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.